Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sunday Brunch. I am your host, RM, and of course, we have with us today Russ Whitfield. Russ, how are you today?
Oh, good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing great. It is a beautiful Sunday here in New York. The weather is much milder all of a sudden, and I'm happy about that. But I am exhausted. I had a very long day yesterday, but it feels good to be doing Sunday brunch here, Russ, with you. I do want to say good morning to Mario
Hey,
Lopez.
Mario.
Good morning. How are you, Mario? I hope you are well today. And of course, Tom Jr. Jackson. We are all good people, my moderator, collaborator. Hope you are well, Tom Jr. Jackson. So good to see you. Um, Gary Banjo Sandwich Worthington as well is here. And he says, "Oh my God, was up very late. Another NFL late night. The Last of Us was out early and great. We had great streamers bombarding our senses with Hogwarts Legacy. What a week!" Yes, Gary Banjo Sandwich. Yes, it's been a busy week, Gary. A lot going on. And thank you so much for being here. So good to see you. We also have Darth Plato here today.
Oh, hey, Darth Plato. Looking forward. There's something I want to talk about later on, which might be of interest to you. So stay tuned for a little bit of that.
Excellent, Darth Plato. It's always a pleasure to see you here on Sunday Brunch. We also have Joe Tyson with us
Big
today.
Joe.
So
We were just killing time till you got here, Joe. Don't worry about it, man. Now we can start.
Joe says, "Good morning, everyone." Well, good morning to you, Joe Tyson. Such a pleasure to see you here. And Retro Nerd Girl is here
There
this
she is.
morning.
Hello. I watched your guys' Planet of the Apes stream. Was really, really great. You did such a bang standing job, the pair of you. It was brilliant. And the rest of the crew as well. But you guys were outstanding. So well done.
I'm so glad you liked it, Russ. That makes me feel good. I'm glad you enjoyed watching it. And I had a fantastic time working with Retro Nerd Girl and Lorraine and, of course, Cameron on that. It certainly was an enjoyable experience, and I'm so glad I did it. So, good morning to you, Retro Nerd Girl, and good morning to Stubble McShave.
How's it, Stubble?
Hi, Stubble. How are you today? So good to see you. Hope you are well. And of course, I'm eager to be doing a review with Stubble. Last year, or maybe it was the year before. No, it was last year. We did a review for the Wheel of Time series,
Mm,
everybody.
mm.
And after talking to Stubble, we're going to continue looking at the second season of the Wheel of
Oh,
Time.
it got a second season, did it?
Oh yes, and I think it's they finished completing filming it. And so so we're going to be reviewing that for sure. I'm looking forward to that stuff. I hope you are doing well. Nathan Trujillo is here. Hi
Hey,
Nathan, how are
Nathan.
you? Good to see you. Hope you are well. Nathan says, "Hey, hey, hey, hey." I'm sorry, I'm cracking myself up. Um, John Ware Jr. is here. Says, "I'm still waking up." John Ware, so am I. I'm still waking up. Yes. But it's so good to see you, John Ware Jr. It's such a pleasure. And Norwegian Kryptonian is here today.
Oh, hey, man.
Hey, Norwegian Kryptonian, how are you doing? So good to see you. I hope you're well. Do enjoy seeing you here. And Thalia Meyer is here. Thalia, how are you this morning? She says, "Good morning and happy Sunday,
Hey, Thalia.
everyone." Certainly happy Sunday to you too. And Russ, I'm sure you are aware that today is Super Bowl Sunday here in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So it is one of those days where everybody is going to be thinking about the Super Bowl. Um, and it certainly is a lot of chatter about it. Do you follow the American Super Bowl? And if so, are you rooting for any one particular team?
Not really, but I hope Philadelphia win.
Okay. Okay, so and that's the Eagles, right?
The Eagles, yeah. It's Kansas City Chiefs and Philadelphia Eagles, right?
Yes, yes. It does seem that way.
And you've got
It
two brothers playing for
Yes.
one's playing for Kansas and one's playing for Philadelphia. I don't know if that's happened before, but
Yeah, I'm so obsessed with these brothers. It's become such like a passion to even think about these two brothers playing on opposing teams. I can't get over how cool it is. It's I don't know if it's ever happened before or not, Russ, but it's so cool.
it is. It's amazing.
And someone had said, whether, it doesn't matter who wins, their mom wins.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah.
I just love that so much. The 2 brothers there, they do look different. They look a little different, which is fine. Like, brothers don't
Mhm,
they're not gonna look identical, but one looks as a little bit more he looks more like a linebacker to me, and the other one looks more like a running back or
mhm.
quarterback kinda build. Not that I should be looking at that, Russ, not that I should be looking at these men's physiques, but, I can't help myself, looking at these 2 brothers who are in the Super Bowl, and, of course, on opposing teams. Um, it just feels good. It's it's so amazing to see that, these two men and, their situation here, and,
Who's
of
better though?
course,
Who's more likely to win, Kansas City or Philadelphia?
I have no idea, Russ. I'm so sorry. I stopped following Super Bowl this and honestly football when my father passed away. I haven't watched a game, and I got to tell you that I used to watch not just live games with my dad, who would watch pretty much every game. He didn't miss a game. Um, what he would do is that after the games were, like everybody, all the games were played that week, he would go in the archives and watch Super Bowl games that were from years ago, and he'd
Mhm.
rewatch these games. And so, I don't know, it was on ESPN. I can't remember what it was called. Um, but he would rewatch the games, and he just enjoyed it so much, the Super Bowl, and but just also just games in general, football. And I just remember that about him, how excited he would get with, the Super Bowl, how much passion he had with that. Mahomes who is one of the quarterbacks. He's been to the Super Bowl maybe once or twice already. That kid, he's
Mhm.
in his 20s, for heaven's sake, Russ.
Yep. He wasn't playing. He wasn't playing for Kansas last season, or was he? I can't remember.
I don't remember. I'm so sorry, Russ. It certainly is, something.
Mahomes, yeah.
Yeah, to think about. I wish I could remember, who he played for or the history. All I know is that it was kind of exciting to see this kid do this, and here he is back again. And I do wanna also mention, and I'm sorry, guys, the quarterbacks are kinda hot too. So this is, a very different, Super Bowl for me. Here are the brothers here that we were talking about, Russ. And as I was saying that one of them looks like he has more of a linebacker's build than the other one, maybe more of a running back. It
Mhm.
doesn't really matter. This has been so much fun to kind of talk about these two guys here, these two brothers, in the Super Bowl together. What an incredible experience for both of them. Something they'll never forget, right, Russ?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a big deal. It's not, it's not so big over here. I think. Who were we talking? Was it you and I were talking about this? Yeah, we were. We was talking about American football and soccer and all that sort of thing. And the thing about the popular American games of American football, baseball and basketball, they're not really widely played out anywhere else, are they? I think Japan has quite a big baseball following, but outside of the US, these are quite niche sports, really. But yeah, this one always has a big following, but it's on so late, so you've got to, if you got to invest some sleepless night in it if you wanna watch the game. I think it kicks off at 6:30, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is kind of late. And hello to you, Keely Chow.
Hey,
Thanks
Keely.
for joining us today. It is kind of late. I think that what they could have done is just make it a 12 afternoon game. And a lot of people could attend it and, kind of enjoy it. But it is a
Surprised.
late
I'm
game.
surprised because, like, here, it's not gonna it doesn't kick off until 11:30 at night. Whereas if it was a afternoon game, then it would be 5:30 here. So you imagine they get more audience. But anyway, good luck, Eagles. I hope the Eagles win.
Absolutely. Nathan says he watches it for the commercials. And Darth Plato says he stopped watching it when Steve Young retired. I remember that. That's going back a while. Darth Plato. Gary Vando Sandwich says, Mahomes are ready. Yes, I'm sure. Definitely for that. And oh, Keely says she's more of a college football fan. and less of an NFL fan when Alabama started winning national championships under Nick Saban, and the Cowboys have disappointed me for the last 27 years. Oh wow. Oh boy, that's a long time, Keely. Yeah, 27 years. We feel your pain. And certainly college football every Saturday in the fall is a lot of excitement for that as well. And a lot of people are talking about what's going on with, like, for example, Tom Jr. Jackson's talking about the Flash trailer. And we
When
also
is that
have,
out?
I'm sorry,
When is that out?
I have no idea. Is it out yet? Do you think it's out yet? Or,
No, it would be all over YouTube if it was out.
oh, Nathan is talking about it as well. Um, or what some people call Batman Flashpoint. Yes. And Russ, you were explaining to me the Flashpoint series. It might have been yesterday or the day
It
before.
was today, yeah.
Yes, and about how it's kind of like a what if for the for DC more or less.
Well,
Um
it was just a sort of drawing to it. Sort of, they wanted to kick off the new 52, so the Flashpoint paradox enable that, which is essentially what they're going to do in the DC universe cinematically. Um, and it explains a lot. When you take a step back from it, and this is how they're going to justify keeping some of the Snyderverse and not the best bits, but they're just the bits that they want to keep. And that kind of happened in Flashpoint Paradox as well. When the new 52 kicked off, some things sort of remained the same but were slightly changed. There was a new younger Superman and so on. So that's pretty much what they're going to do. Oh, it's in the Super Bowl. Thanks, Retro Nerd Girl.
yeah, thank you, Retro Nerd Girl, for pointing that out. It's good to know that. I think it's very important for us to realize that. And I didn't know that it was going to be appearing then. And I'm just going to present one more one more picture of these brothers. I'm sorry, Russ. I can't help myself. I promise you this will be the last one. Is this the right one? Where is it? Yeah, I don't have it here. Yeah, it was just so sweet, this photo that I found of them. Um, oh, I can't do it anyway. Oh well. But it doesn't matter. It's actually a picture of one brother who's kissing the other one on the cheek, and I thought that was so sweet to see that, because this is obviously one of those moments they're not ever going to forget for their whole lives. So it was kind of nice to see that sort of stuff. And Jamin D is with us today. How are you, Jamin D?
Oh,
I
if you're
hope.
listening, Jamin, I just gave you the metal horns. Sorry.
Yes, hope
If
you
you're only listening.
I hope you are well. Ishmael King says he came for Hogwarts Legacy gaming. I'm sorry, Ishmael. I will be doing that later after Sunday brunch. It will be on. Don't you worry, Ishmael. So there is that. Um, well, Russ, what a week it has been. Obviously, as you know, I've been playing this the Hogwarts Legacy game.
Mm,
And there's been a lot of chatter about the game, and apparently it's breaking records. It broke a record with Steam. It has not been released on every platform out there, but the platforms that it has been released on, if you were lucky enough to get a early release, which I did get with the PlayStation 5, you got to play Hogwarts Legacy early, a whole 72 hours before it gets released on everything else. And it certainly is something to think about, because for a game that a lot of people were kind of against, it's proving to be maybe one of the most successful games. And I predict that the game will be game of the year, Russ. What have you heard about it from people that you know, if anything, or what about the game do you know regarding Hogwarts Legacy, Russ?
I know that it it was that people were trying to boycott it because J.K. Rowling, and I don't know what this stands for. All right, but apparently she's a turf, which is an anti-trans thing, and there was a huge call to boycott it. But it was interesting purely from a statistical standpoint, if you like, to say that these voices that are on Twitter that seem so loud and so numerous don't actually reflect the actual user base. Once again, you've discovered that it's the biggest selling game of all time. It's massive. It's going to be huge. It's going on and on and on. So how come it's not been boycotted? Well, because the people that want it boycotted are a very small but vocal minority. So maybe there's lessons to be learned there. But I'm not a gamer, so it's kind of passed me by. I'm afraid I don't really have anything erudite to say on it, other than I heard about the controversy, and the controversy seems to be nothing but a storm in a teacup.
Yeah, it is quite unbelievable the reaction to it. However, I think it's very interesting in the sense that it is pretty much the game that everyone is talking about. And I think that the reviews for the game primarily, I think there's only been one review which is not, people are saying may not be the best review because for other reasons other than what the game is like, which I think
What
is
do you mean?
also very interesting. And for whatever reason, if there are, situations where people feel that the game is not great, I haven't heard a single person say that the game is a bad game. And of course, Russ, I have been playing the game and live streaming it right here on Positive Fandom, and just kind of enjoying playing the game, figuring out the problems. I play it on super easy mode. And, I've just been enjoying it. I'm a Hogwarts fan. It certainly is one of the most outstanding, in my opinion, it's one of the most outstanding, fantasy IPs that have come out. It's been 15 or something years, 20 years since the books, Russ.
Mm.
And I know happen, I'm sure you remember. I mean, I don't know if anybody is a fan of Harry Potter, but certainly Harry Potter's influence and the Wizarding World's influence cannot be ignored on nerd culture, right?
Oh no, absolutely. It was a huge deal. I was never really into it. My daughter was into it. She had the books and watched the films and all the rest of it. But it's got a huge fan base. I mean, obviously, I think J.K. Rowling was the first author to become a billionaire. I think off the back of these properties, and fair play to her. Lots of people like it. Universal story, good versus evil, coming of age, blah 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 blah. It's nothing we haven't. Um, it's nothing we haven't heard before, but it was done in a unique and magical, literally magical way. No axe to grind with that franchise whatsoever, but not something I particularly followed. I think it just passed me by. To be honest with you, it's not the sort of thing that would normally appeal to me. If I'm going to read magic and stuff like that, I'll tend to read sort of fantasy stuff, Lord of the Rings, David Gemmell style sort of fantasy, as opposed to wizarding, which I think is more urban, modern fantasy, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be.
Well, one thing I do want to say that I have to give Rawlings credit for is the fact that yeah, a lot of people are upset about the Quidditch. Nathan, everyone is upset about the Quidditch. I would like there to be Quidditch. I have a feeling that the next game is going to have Quidditch,
Going
and
to
we're going
say,
to.
is there possibilities of a DLC to have that?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Like there will be a Quidditch World Cup or something like that. It certainly I think is coming, because the reason why I think it's coming is because they made a point of showing you the Quidditch pitch in the game. It's literally in your face.
hmm
I have a feeling that it's coming, and there's no reason to think that they are not going to add that. That's something that is very interesting. Here, Retro Nerd Girl talks about boycotting something is personal choice, but I'm against the attacks on customers. Absolutely. I agree on that one. Um, and here, Stubble says, the best legacy of Harry Potter was that it created a generation of book readers who are now in their mid-30s. Yes, and
absolutely, absolutely.
there were so many kids who were not interested in reading, and they picked up Harry Potter, and not only did they start to read more, but a lot of the situations and the way they describe things became part of their vernacular. And I had always used this as an example when I used to work with the public school system here in New York. And some of the teachers would talk about how, they would say, well, if they would talk to the students and say, well, what would you do if you were in an uncomfortable situation? And some of the students would say things like, well, I'd get on my Nimbus 2000 and get out of there. Like, in other words, they hop on their broomstick and fly out. And I thought it was so funny that they could use that as an example of how to escape a dangerous situation. It had become part of their existence. Everywhere you went, you kept hearing the music from the movies on people's ringtones and phones. And it became, those films, Russ, when they first came out in the theater, were shown in IMAX. They were big deals, Russ. I don't know how much money they made. I don't know how much bank they made, but it almost didn't matter, Russ, because people wanted to see these films. They did such a great job adapting it from the books. Now, it's not a perfect adaptation, and they had to leave out a lot, but what they were able to accomplish at that time, Russ, considering the limitations of movie making at the time, is absolutely remarkable. If they made it now, it would be very different looking film. But I think that what they've created in Hogwarts Legacy was something that everybody who wants a game that you where you can be a student, you are now a student at Hogwarts, is giving us that fantasy. I'm just playing it and enjoying it a lot. And one of the other things that I wanted to mention is Russ.
Mm,
We're talking about an IP that
mhm.
has conquered some of the things and pretty much been consistent throughout. It has the books as the foundation. It has an incredible cinematic IP. And then it has a game. Games are coming. The games have been successful. And now this, maybe this is the game of the year, as I mentioned. There's been chatter, Russ, about there possibly being a Harry Potter television series, like something on HBO Max, where it's Hogwarts Legacy, the TV show. What do you think? Do you think this could go on over into television as well, Russ, with the popularity? I mean, they built a wizarding world in the UK and in the US, and it's been one of the most popular parks ever visited. And every single thing in it is this inspiration from Rowling. What do you think, Russ? Do you think that there could ever be a television series for Harry Potter?
Depends, doesn't it? And I guess there'd be more erudite people to, who know Harry Potter better than me because I don't really know much about it. Really depends on on the expanded or extended universe of Harry Potter. Is there enough in there to warrant a TV show? Because the Fantastic Beasts and things like that haven't done as well, have they, as Harry Potter? They've sort of floundered a little bit. So I wonder what they're going to do with a TV show. I guess they would have to just take a bunch of new kids. I would suggest teenagers and maybe follow them. But if we were having this conversation about Cobra Kai, weren't we? That Cobra Kai is drawing to a close in season 6, but they sort of announced we're going to have spin-offs in the Miyagi verse. And my view is well, why? I'm interested in Daniel and I'm interested in Johnny and I'm interested in seeing what happens to them and the people around them. But if they're not in it, I'm not particularly interested in seeing a high school show about Tori and Robbie and Sam and all that going through high school, all of their first jobs and all strung around karate. That's just my thoughts on that. So yeah, I don't know. Um, if there's a expanded universe that they can explore and draw on, sure. But what do you think? I mean, do you know much about it?
No, it's just chatter really, and what they're saying is that because the game is already so successful, that there may be a market for people wanting to see more specifically at Hogwarts.
Hmm.
So the idea is that, Fantastic Beasts kind of strayed away from Hogwarts, went more to the Ministry of Magic. It dealt with more adults and less of what the kids were dealing with at school. So Hogwarts is kind of a return back to this, and it's set in the 1890s, I think,
Mm.
and it's way before a lot of the characters that we know, although many of the family names are there, like the Weasleys, and if you will. I'm looking for Nicholas Flamel, who is a wizard who, at the time the Harry Potter story is made, he's 600 years old, so I know he's alive, and I'm wondering if we'll run into him. But I never thought I'd ever be imagining that we might see a wizard from I don't know how many hundreds of years ago. It's kind of exciting, Russ. I'm enjoying playing this game. I haven't heard anything about a series, but it kind of seems like it could work, or at least another film where they are talking about kids from before Harry was even born. I think it could work if we went that far back.
I
And it's
think they'd have to do a modern take, wouldn't they? Really? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what there is to explore. There must be tons of lore surrounding it. There must be spin-offs and things like that that people have written. Yeah, I'm the same as you, Bonzo. It wasn't really my thing, but
Bonzo.
that's not to say it's not to say that it hasn't had a massive cultural impact or anything like that. It's just that it's the bus that we missed. But if you say Harry Potter, you know what he looks like. You know what Ron Weasley looks like. You can picture them in your mind, and I don't follow it at all, right? So, but I know who they are, and I know their story. Yeah, but I don't know. I haven't heard about the TV show.
Well, what's interesting, Russ, and you kind of make a good point here. And obviously there are people who are not huge fans of Harry Potter, which is fine, of course. But there are a lot of parents who have sat through every single one of those films because their kids were into it, and they
Hmm.
had no choice but to, God bless you, parents. God bless you for doing that for your kids, out there, knowing very well that they have to watch this film because their children are in it. And of course, they want to make sure there was nothing disturbing in the films, but the point is that the parents had to watch the films and be involved in a lot of this stuff because their children were in it. And so, they put in all this time doing that. But I think that in regards to children's entertainment, and of course, this show, Sunday Brunch, and my channel is not meant for children. This is not a children's channel. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is creating quality entertainment for children. I think that this particular IP, when we talk about fantasy, when we talk about all of those sort of charms and spells and imagination and fascination, I think that this IP has hit the mark in so many ways for so many children out there. And I am very excited for the children who are discovering and will discover this game. As Lorena was saying, many children will be playing this on their PlayStation Switch, on their Twitch, on their Switch, like consoles, their handheld consoles.
Hmm.
Many kids will be playing this on Steam. um and there's a long waiting list to play it there. Once it starts to be distributed to every platform out there, I don't think we're going to be tripping over how many people are playing the game and enjoying it. Russ, this really has been one of the most exciting premieres of a video game I've seen in ages. And I remember the days, I remember in the early 2000s, in the mid 2000s, um yeah, the year 2000 or 2001, when games would come out, maybe the 2010s. It was so much excitement, a lot of excitement surrounding these games, especially fantasy style games. Of course, with Star Wars, there's a new game coming out called what is it called? It's called Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and it's the sequel to Jedi Fallen Order. And there's a lot of excitement around that one coming out, but even that game has been delayed. So it feels like Legacy is kind of the one. Normally there would be a ton of releases at the same time, Russ, but it's such a different world for game development. I know you said you're not a gamer, but it is something to think about, because getting a video game that has that fantasy element in it is something that a lot of people want to see in a game, and be for them being able to execute it so well, Russ. I don't think I've ever seen
Well, that's the
anything
thing,
like
is it? I mean, it hasn't been sort of plagued by like a shitty first release. We had this with Cyberpunk and so many other games, right? It comes out and it's pretty much unplayable because it had to hit a certain release date and it's full of bugs and it's not working, and you have to wait for the patches and the things like that. It seems at least that they've done this correctly. Like, it's been tested and it's dropped and it's working and everyone seems to be happy with it.
Yeah, definitely. And Nathan was asking if I'm doing any more Hogwarts Legacy live gameplay videos. And of course, Tom Jr. Jackson saying, yes, she is. Yes, I will be doing more videos, guys. Have no fear. I will be playing Hogwarts Legacy at least for the next 22 days every day for a few hours. So you can, I'm playing it directly from my PS5. And so when you play, it just goes on automatically. I can't put up like a thing to announce it, but you can check the channel for that. Um, yeah, people are kind of asking questions about this. Jamin says, I also only watched the movies, but I saw gameplay and especially showing that English countryside is beautiful to just roam around. Yes, Jamin, I do remember seeing you in some of the streams. It certainly is a beautiful, beautiful looking game, guys. And don't forget, you can contact Russ at russwhitfield.com and you can buy his book
Oh
at
shit!
the
I didn't
link
even know I had
here.
a Barnes and Noble page.
Apparently, you do. And thank you,
Apparently, I do.
Tom. Thank you, Tom, as always, for doing that and felicitating creators here on the channel along with me. Um, Tom mentions he says, I think what legacy shows is that they don't have to I can't read this, fall back to the main characters of the Royal Three. They can do a Hogwarts show as long as it is at Hogwarts. Yes, Tom, I think that might be it. Um, Bonzo says, "Greetings all. Never got into Harry Potter. I was a little older when I came out." Yeah, a lot of people were older, and it was kind of not necessarily something that they were interested in. Nathan says, "I rewatched the Karate Kid movies. It's wild how Cobra Kai mixed good nostalgia into their story."
There's
Yeah, they certainly
so
did.
much going on. There's so many little tiny things, little nods, little props, and just on the level of props and things like that, just stuff that they have. These guys are nerds. They're complete Karate Kid nerds, and they've done an amazing job of putting. You don't have to have seen it, but if you know, you know. And I think that's the great thing about Easter eggs, nerdy little Easter eggs like that. Like if you know, you know, and you spot it, and you've got it. Yeah, they really did a brilliant job.
Yeah, they really did do a fantastic job, guys, with it. And I also think looking at Darth Plato saying that Dumbledore should be there, it's a valid point. We got to look for him. Bonzo talks about the problem with Fantastic Beasts with straying from Hogwarts, or was it not a well-made series of movies? I think there wasn't enough background because if we remember, for those of us who have watched Hogwarts, that they gave you a lot of background before you kind of started the getting into Harry Potter as becoming a mature or a more mature uh let's say magic user, wizard, if you will. um and he kind of started off with these humble beginnings, and in Fantastic Beasts there's no humble beginning. You're just kind of thrown into this story, and I felt like they needed to kind of give you the background about what happened between the main character played by Freddie, I think it's Redmayne, and of course the woman that he fell in love with, that he and his brother love the same woman. It's a bit scandalous though, isn't it, guys, to make two characters be in love with the same woman, two brothers in love with the same woman. That's a little scandalous. We don't normally see that in Hogwarts, do we, Russ? That's not the type of thing you'd expect to see. So if they were going to make it adult, give us the background. I think that the films were well made, Bonzo, and I think the stories were good, but we needed a little bit more background, just like what they did, what was done before with the Harry Potter movies. We started off from scratch. Harry didn't know shit. Sorry, but it was the truth, right? He didn't know anything. He's like, "What's this? Where am I? Where?" Like it was very like he just didn't know anything, and all the other kids had were so far advanced over Harry. He just didn't know anything, and it took him a while to catch up, didn't it, Russ? I don't know if you remember, but for those of us who do remember, it took Harry a few movies to kind of get up to speed. There was a lot
I
he
guess
didn't know.
because he's a POV character, right? We're learning about it as he learns about it, which is the best way to do it, I suppose.
Absolutely, and I think if that could have been done for for adults for this more mature story, I think it would have been interesting to actually see a legitimate love story unfold in front of our eyes in this in this world of two adults. I think I would have liked to have seen that. Of course, everybody talks about how at the end of the Harry Potter films, we get to see their kids going to Hogwarts, so we know there's going to be more to the story there. But I'm simply saying that, for me, and I love stories, I would have loved to have seen, something like this and kind of see what it's like to be, in a relationship during
Oh, well, I
in that
didn't know
world.
that. I imagine then that if they're going to do a series, it's going to follow those children, and that then gives them an excuse to have guest appearances from the Royal Three, as they were just called. So yeah, that's a no-brainer then, I would imagine.
Yes, and I just wanted to talk about a little bit more of this Tom Jr. Jackson says they say easy may take 20 to 25 hours to finish, but on hard about to finish the game 50 hours. No, it will take me forever to finish the game, guys. I play on easy. I don't, I'm just enjoying the game. I'm playing. It's not going to be, for me, it might take 100 hours. I don't know. I'm just enjoying the game. I'm just having fun with it. I'm not thinking about it too much. I just want to have fun and I don't want to worry about that. I just want to explore and enjoy the game. Collecting trophies doesn't mean anything to me. I just want to be a fun gamer, as I like to say. I'm an easy gamer. Like the song Easy Lover, I'm an easy gamer. And I just enjoy the game as I play it. There's no purpose to rush it. I just want to explore and have fun. So, if that's the kind of you want to see what the game is like, and you want to explore along with me, please do join me on my channel for that. Um, Retro Nerd Girl says Harry Potter is a huge world outside of the stories and characters of the characters. I wouldn't mind seeing more from that world.
Yeah,
Yes,
but is it official? Like, are there, like in Star Wars, they had like spin-off books and stuff that wasn't really to do with the Skywalkers. I think there was one called I Stormtrooper or something like that. There was lots of stuff. Is there what I'm driving at? Is there a Harry Potter universe already out there that's official, or is it just those books and the spin-off movies and the original movies?
I don't know. Is anybody in here who is a huge Harry Potter fan would know? I never read the books. I never read a Harry Potter book. I've only ever played the games and watched the movies. So I cannot give you an answer. Um, so I don't know. I'm sorry, Russ.
Oh, no worries.
Um, it's something to think about. Yeah. And Jamin D says there's a bit difference in Hogwarts. You are the person controlling and experiencing the game like doing spells flying, that's gamers mindset. I don't know if a show will capture that. Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, it's very true. And yes, I'm going to be playing more videos as I said. Um Certainly. Here it says, does the London government know that the Wizarding World exists? Um yeah, this is a question that they're not supposed to know. It's supposed to be secret, right? From what I understand. And Tom Jr. Jackson says, I saw that in the later films they were starting to go back to Hogwarts. Yes, they were. Um, Certainly there was some focus on that. Hello, Luminara
Hey, Luminara.
843. How are you today? I sure hope you are well. Such a pleasure to see you here, Luminara 843, guys. Check out Luminara 843 on Figure Flex shows. She is a collector and a huge, important person in our community here. So good to see you. Hey, Cavantino Cavalryman Shay says, Harry went through a hero's journey. And Nathan says Hermione seemed to learn magic and everything so fast. It was funny to see the contrast between Harry and Hermione. Yeah, it was. And Tom Jr. Jackson says Harry was a no one who found out he was someone who I cannot read this, had a moniker, the chosen one, to get rid of Voldemort. People believed in him. He was not confident in himself. Yeah, it was a lot, Tom. Certainly a lot with Harry. And now you get to play as a student at Hogwarts. So I'm enjoying myself. Russ, I just had to put that in there that it's a great game. I think I give the game a 10 out of 10. Uh, and even though it doesn't have Quidditch, I have a feeling they're going to surprise us with it later. But I'm not.
It's
I'm going to stop.
got to be a DLC, hasn't it? It's going to
Yeah,
be a
I'm going to stop
DLC.
talking about Harry Potter now and the Wizarding World, and let's talk about some other things. Russ, what is on your mind this week that you would like to talk about here on Sunday Brunch?
A stealth announcement, actually. It's probably slipped by most people, but I was thrilled to see an interview or a statement from Stephen S. Denight saying that they're going to be doing a follow up to Spartacus Blood and Sand. I'm not made up. Spartacus was just awesome. It was just nudity and violence and sex and violence and nudity and sex and violence and that was basically the show. Right? I loved Spartacus. I thought it was top tier entertainment. I love the way it sort of riffed on the 300 styly with the over the top blood and mass CGI backgrounds and all that sort of thing. But Yeah, I am so excited for this, with the caveat that it is like proper Spartacus and not. Please just don't let it be 2023 Spartacus. If you know what I mean, Spartacus Blood and Sand needs to hold true to its nudie, gratuitous violence roots. I think, to be successful. Um, we don't know much about it. Um, Yeah, Bonzo. I don't know. Like, if you just give it a Google now, Stephen Denight, he's literally just come out. This announcement that they're going down the road of prepping. They're in pre-production, or getting writers and things like that at the moment. So it's been said. Whether it will happen or not, we don't know. But that was top tier entertainment. It was top tier, and I'd much rather, yeah, because like MJ and Sam are pressuring me to watch The Boys with them tonight, and I really don't want to. And I'm gonna counter strike with Spartacus. I might suggest Spartacus. I could do with rewatching that. I don't think the second guy. Um, there you go. So what's it say here? Do you want to
It
read it
says,
out a little bit?
Spartacus sequel series developing at Stars from original creator Stephen S. DeKnight. And this article came out on February 9th. Here you can see the creator there. And it says they're developing a sequel to its historical drama series, Spartacus. Who created the original series. He will serve as the showrunner and executive producer of the new series. It was inspired by the story of the gladiator of the same name, who incited a massive slave rebellion against Rome in the year 73 BC. Per the log line, the sequel series will be set after the defeat of Spartacus and his revolution, depicting a new tale of treachery, deceit, and blood unfolding beneath the foreboding shadow of Rome. The original show debuted in 2010, and with season one carrying the title Spartacus Blood and Sand, they debuted a prequel series limited called Spartacus God of the Arena in 2011 before producing two more seasons of the flagship title Vengeance and War of the Damned in 2013. Along with Spartacus, DeKnight is known for writing on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, one of my favorite shows, and also as writing, directing, and producing Angel, Smallville, and Dollhouse. He also served as a showrunner on Daredevil and Jupiter's Legacy. Directed the movie Pacific Rim Uprising and is currently producing Stars Queen Nzinga, which is I looks incredible. He is repped by CAA, and they show his attorneys there. They say the sequel for series, I can't talk, will be produced
It,
by
I'll
Lionsgate
do it if you want.
Television.
I'll do it.
Okay.
The Spartacus sequel series will be produced by Lionsgate Television. Overseeing for stars are Executive Vice President of Original Programming Karen Bailey and the Directors of Original Programming Giovanna DeSalle and Alex Alberts. For Lionsgate, the Head of Scripted Development and Executive Vice President Scott Herbert and Senior Vice President of Scripted Development Jocelyn Sabo will oversee. It's been over a decade since Spartacus delighted international audiences, and we are thrilled to reimagine and expand this gripping, action packed drama for our viewers today, said Catherine Busby, president of original programming for Stars. Spartacus has deeply invested fans who are eager for its return, and we look forward to working with Stephen on this exciting new chapter. It's such an incredible honor to be invited to return to the world of Spartacus and to be met with unbridled creative support from my colleagues at Stars and Lionsgate, said DeKnight. Together, we are crafting something truly unique and unusual for the next chapter of this epic story.
Absolutely. Russ, this is so exciting to see a production like this come into fruition, have so many seasons, and really just bring this era of time alive to viewers who I think, we haven't been getting the movies, let's say, that we normally would have been getting that would have been like this. There would have been these epic films coming out over the past 10 years or so, but we haven't had as much as we could have had. And I think that having a show at least, fills a little bit of the gap. Russ, what do you think?
Oh man, I suppose I should send that lady a copy of Gladiatrix and say, dude, you were going to rip this off like 10 years ago. Do you want another go? I actually got a tweet for a message from Stephen DeKnight back in the day. It was quite funny. But yeah, I hope that they stay true to the original shows. That's what I'm hoping. There's yeah, I see the words reimagining and modern audiences, and I'm a little bit, oh god, no, please no, please please don't ruin Spot. So now I was excited, but now I've read that article. Now I'm scared. Now I'm thinking, oh my god, don't don't mess it up, guys. Just do what you did before, but with different people, and let's have a different story. Look, Darth Plato, I'll tell you, any period of Roman history, any period you want is just full of stuff you can do. Um, well, yeah, you could do, but I think is this not following straight on after the revolt. So we're still in the Republic, I think. Um,
Mm.
I can't actually remember now. No, we are. Um, so yeah, I'm excited, but having read that, a little bit trepidatious. I don't like the word reimagine, and for modern audiences that's a little bit scary. But Stephen DeKnight did a good job before, and if he's allowed to do what he wants to do, then I'm sure it'll be more of the same: scandalous nudity and gratuitous. Spartacus is just gratuitous in everything that it did. It was so over the top. Everybody was so good looking. Everybody was ripped to fuck. Everybody got their clothes off. It was like par for the course. You just had to do it. And I think that's where oh god, is the Australian actor's name's gone out of my head. Jai Courtney. I think he got his start in Spartacus. He was Spartacus's mate Varro, in that show, and he had blonde curly hair. Yes, loved it. Loved Spartacus, and hopefully this will be as good as the original series. So don't fuck it up, Stephen S. DeKnight.
I don't think he will mess it up. And of course, Bonzo Kilborn says more Spartacus. When and effing where?
Oh God, yeah, no, I apologize for dropping the f bomb. I understand that now your video could be demonetized at any point, and they can go back and demonetize all your videos if they deem it necessary to do so. Wonder
Yeah,
why.
it is something to think about. John Ware Jr. says, wait, what's this spy show that has a lot of unclothed and violent scenes? It's Spartacus. That's the show. And of course, Dennis Mason says the boys aren't very nice. Napoleon Solo was never naked. I am Spartacus. Interesting.
No, you're
Hello,
not. I am.
Dennis. How are you today? And Bonzo says there was some talk about following the guy who played Caesar and his rise to power as the original was ending.
Yep, yep. Possibly, potentially. I'm just trying to think of the guy who played Caesar. That was pretty good because, of course, then you've got Crassus sort of goes off and gets into trouble in the Middle East and doesn't end up coming back. You've got yeah, the whole thing with the triumph. There's so many things you can do. But it's how you tie that into a sort of gladiator story, or if you're not even going to make it a gladiator story. I mean, I just don't. I think they'll have to, won't they?
Yeah, they're gonna have to. Stubble says, Russ interested in historical drama set in ancient Rome with politics, sex, and violence. Who knew?
Hey, come on, man! I was the OG. I did it before Spartacus, Blood and Sand. All right, I was there first. Everyone thought I ripped that off. They ripped me off. That's all I'm gonna say, and I'm sure they didn't. But
And Dennis
I was there first.
and Dennis Mason says, Angel for me. Now, I do want to mention something about this. Of course, this is the man who pretty much brought David Boreanaz to life for me. David Boreanaz appeared first, and at least one of his first appearances on television was in Buffy the Vampire Slayer as the Vampire Angel,
Mm.
and then went and had his own series called Angel after that. So he had a spin-off series off of that. He also went into another series called Bones. Um, uh, that was also successful, and now he's in a additional series called SEAL Team, which is maybe one of my favorite shows on network TV, or when it was on network TV. It's one of my favorite shows on television, and so I just think that this man wrote such an incredible roles and characters for David Boreanaz, who's still acting, still fantastic. He still shows up to cons. It's exciting to see somebody like him still working, and, he knew exactly what we wanted to see in Buffy and in Angel. Certainly two very interesting shows that were important for me. I don't know if you watched them, Russ, if you were a fan, but here, Jamin D says, stars want their own Game of Thrones franchise, huh? I'll see what they are going for.
You know what? Do you know what, Jamin? Right. Okay. I'm gonna say it. With all of its awesome epicness and layered storytelling and all of that, Game of Thrones was in a league of its own. Didn't stick the landing. So I'm gonna say it here and now. Fucking Spartacus is better than Game of Thrones because Spartacus didn't stick its land right. Spartacus landed. Okay, it's a historical story, so it only ended in one way, but they never relented. They never relented with it. It was just over the top from beginning to end, and it's a bit like Underworld in a way. It's just approached with all this insanity is going on, and the actors are like dead sincere and dead, delivering this sort of faux British Shakespearean dialogue and all the rest of it. Oh man, yeah. If I was stuck on a desert island and I had the box set and I could only take one box set, if it was Game of Thrones or Spartacus, including the prequel Gods of the Arena, I would certainly take Spartacus and sling Game of Thrones in the ocean. There you go. I've said it. I've called it out. What am I gonna do? It means I've got bad taste, I suppose, but I loved it.
No, 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 no. Certainly not bad taste. These are historical uh fiction based stories that are spectacular, and everybody keeps talking about and will continue to talk about them for a very long time. So I think it's important, honestly. Um Mark Goes Blind Gaming. Hello, Mark. Says, hi y'all. I started watching Horatio Hornblower on YouTube after watching the fantastic positive fandom review. It's brilliant, and I recommend you all check it out. Well, thank you, Mark Goes Blind Gaming. That's very kind of you. As you all know, I have been doing review series with Darth Plato on Fridays at 10. And we are, of course, looking at the Horatio Hornblower series. We had just finished up a review of Napoleon and Josephine, a love story, in anticipation of the new movie coming out with Joaquin Phoenix. Um, and I think it's Vanessa Kirby. So certainly do check out Positive Fandom on Fridays, where we do review things like that. We're going to be looking at episode 3 of Horatio Hornblower, Marco's Blind Gaming. We've already done the first 2 episodes, and the third one is the one that's coming up on Friday. So please do check that out, everybody. And thank you, Mark, for those kind words. The Hidden is here. Hello, The Hidden.
The hidden is revealed.
Yeah. Yes, The Hidden is revealed. And certainly Marco's Blind Gaming says, reimagine, oh no, Spartacus is going to be played. Oh my gosh. What? I
Well,
can't
he's just
even.
picking up on the interview there where they said it's going to be reimagined. So he's now sort of saying that perhaps the lead will be similar to the lead that we got in Vikings Valhalla, where they gender and race swapped Derek the Red or something like that, and made this Viking leader a lady of color, which didn't seem to make much sense to anybody outside of that world. But I hope they don't do that uh, for Spartacus. I hope that they. I mean, sure, they could have a lady of color as the lead, but I just hope it. I hope it's about ancient Rome, and I hope
Yeah.
it's. I just hope it's not about modern identity politics. That's what I hope, basically.
And we also have Bonzo Kilborn, who says Spartacus was bloody and scandalous, but the writing was amazing. The twists and turns on the story never missed a beat. Is it like Rome, Russ?
No, no. Rome is. I mean, yeah, yes, with in terms of the nudity and the and how we look at the Romans, because we tend to look at Romans as sort of sex crates through our modern lens, don't we? It's nothing like that. It's much more like 300. It's very much, they obviously maybe that's why I like it so much. They obviously saw Zack Snyder's 300 and thought, yeah, let's do that, but with Romans and tits, and that's essentially what Spartacus is.
And John Weir Jr. says, and we're also getting a sequel to Gladiator
Are we?
2000. I heard chatter about it, but I don't know. Um, I don't know. Retro Nerd Girl says, I need this series. Yes, we
You
certainly.
you do need to see this series. I am going to be pushing hard to watch this again tonight. Now, that's forget the boys. I want to see Spartacus. I'm going to insist on Spartacus. It's my fucking house. I can do what I like. Spartacus. That's it. That's my viewing tonight.
And Dennis Mason says, thongs and bulges.
It totally
Absolutely.
was. RM, it totally was. Like Andy Whitfield just spends the entire show walking around in a subligarum, I think it was called, which is basically Roman underpants. And he's bulging in all the right places. He was a beautiful looking man. It's such a shame he passed so tragically, but it is, yeah, it's awesome. I can't big it up enough. You know what? It's up there. It's up there with Strike
Mm.
Back in terms of awesomeness for TV shows. They all came out around about the same time. These shows, so yeah, Spartacus, Strike Back. Oh, I don't know, difficult, but yeah, I love Spartacus.
Jamin D says they should contact Russ to adopt Roma Victrix. I say, come on, stars, and I agree. I couldn't agree with you more, Jamin
Well,
D.
thanks, Shaman. Yeah, that'd be great. Maybe I'll write to them and say, dudes, come on.
Absolutely. So there is that. Now Bonzo says that Game of Thrones had a lot more money than Spartacus, and that was the only advantage over Spartacus.
Yeah, I think also Spartacus is kind of like was at the time was a dirty little secret, wasn't it? Like these sort of like the full-on nudity and the excessive violence and all that weren't so accepted. It was all quite new in those days, and Spartacus, especially it being on Stars, always had that sort of that ring of the sort of your dad's like porno VHS that you knew where he'd hidden it in the back cupboard. Do you know what I mean? It was kind of
Yeah,
kind of
you,
like that.
yeah. Those girly mags or whatever you want to call
Yeah, that's right, right.
them.
Spartacus Blood and Sand, the girly mag of streaming. It's exactly what it is. The VHS PJ Sparks porno. Yes,
Well, Darth Plato describes it as a cross between Conan and Porky's.
much like my novels, Darth Plato. Much like my novels.
Jamin D says Spartacus for me too. I've never seen more than one season of Game of Thrones. Was just saying the network seems to have that type of thought process these
Yeah,
days.
I think
Yes.
with Spartacus, I don't. It was never as deep and as layered. I mean, it was good. It was well done, Jamin. But it was not as layered. But who cares? It was still awesome. What does he say here? Spartacus granted every Xenian warrior prince's teenager's dream, giving us Lucy Lawless nude. Yeah, but also, yes, it did, and that was epic. But Katrina Law, my goodness. Oh, just thinking about it's hurt me. She's so pretty, it hurt my eyes. She's absolutely stunning. And there was the one actress in it, and she looked like her name. Her name was Viva Bianca, and
Uh-huh.
she was beautiful, and she was like this sort of like patrician, upper class lady, and yeah, she was naughty. They were all naughty in Spartacus. It's a very naughty show. Ooh.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, obviously I can't I would really be interested to be able to show more of that, more of the shots. And of course, the men and women who are in the show are just unbelievable. Um, I to be honest with you, it is an incredible show. I'll just show one image from it, which I think says it all, at least for me. Um, in the level of just it just says it all for me. I don't know about you, Russ. Um
Yeah, yeah. And it's interesting as well. It did have representation in it without sort of making a big deal about uh, representation. And Peter Mensa was doctore, which is what you would call a trainer, um, in the gladiatorial school. And you had there were Polynesian actors in it because they were all Australian. I think apart Peter Mensa wasn't, but the rest of these guys here, I think, are all Aussies. Yeah, I'm trying to think of the Manu Bennett played Crixus, uh, who's on the far right as we're looking at it. And then you've got Peter Mensa next to him, Andy Whitfield's in the middle, and then you've got Jai Courtney, and I can't remember the name of the two other guys, the two other actors. But yeah, as Mark's saying here, the original Spartacus has strong female characters, was diverse, but in the right way, great actors, characters, and no tokenism. That's it. Let's just do that. Let's just do that again, guys. Let's have that. That would be awesome. Stephen Denight, if you're watching, and I know you are, make sure it's lives up to its predecessors, and we'll all be happy.
Yeah, Nathan and John Ware Jr. are saying yes. The Gladiator sequel and announcement came out a few weeks ago. It will not focus on that main character we know,
Oh, because
and
he's dead, isn't he? I mean, so is it going to be a sequel? All right, here we go. So it's John Ware Jr.'s telling us, yes, Gladiator sequel is happening. Ridley Scott is involved, and the main character cast. It's about Connie Nielsen's son, Lucius Ferris, 20 years later. So we would be Darth Plato post Commodus. Who was after Commodus? Because everything was going to shit at that point. So it'll have a dramatic backdrop. That's for sure. Because Commodus wasn't the best emperor. To be fair.
no, no, he certainly was not. So yeah, historically, a lot of times these films are not accurate. But you can't deny Russell Crowe's impact in the film.
Another
Certainly,
another Aussie playing a Roman gladiator. There we go.
he's great. Um, uh, and Tom Jr. Jackson, thank you, Tom, for doing this. Guys, just so you know, as if you didn't hear about it, Picard season 3 is coming up this week, the premiere, and I'm going to be doing a live watch party on the Burr Network with Julian Mushkin. He and I are going to be up late, late, late. It'll be 3 a.m. for me, and it will be 12 midnight for Julian as we watch the premiere of Picard season 3, episode 1, live watch party on the Burr Network, guys. So please do check that out. Um, uh, the Hidden says Spartacus reminds me of the 80s movie Deathstalker.
Deathstalker ruled. Come on now. Deathstalker was awesome. There are 4 Deathstalker movies, I think, and then they did a sort of remake in 2000 of the first one. Um, and I think the first one and 2 were really good, and then Deathstalker 3 came out, and Deathstalker 3 sort of tried to pull the wool over our eyes, and like it just had a different bloke who wasn't Deathstalker, and then they brought him back for the next one. But they were great. I mean, actually, you're quite right because they literally were exactly the same as Spike. It was gratuitous, weren't they? Yeah. So maybe Stephen DeKnight's a big fan of Roger Corman and his Deathstalker and Amazons, and that was a great one. Amazons with the sorceress, and there was all sorts of those Concord sword and sorcery movies back in the day. Yeah.
And here, John Ward Jr. talks about Game of Thrones, $10 million per budget, and Spartacus had 2. And I should mention that Game of Thrones had an incredible, how should I say it? They probably had more cast members. They might have been one of the shows that had more cast members than any other show in the world, right, Russ?
Maybe, but with Spartacus, it was all done CGI. It was all done in that sort of 300-esque CGI, and obviously it probably looked dated. I can't wait. I have to watch it again. Um, but yeah, what I did like about the show, though, and it's people will sort of talk about historical accuracy and stuff like that, but what they did do in the show is the gladiator pairings were actually quite accurate, and they had the balls. And I think I've said this on this show before, like the Thracian and the Murmelo, they actually put them in their actual helmets. So like the Thracian has a Thracian helmet on, and the Murmelo has the Murmelo helmet on, and you can't see them. You can't see the actors because they've got these full face helmet, and you get these sort of like Iron Man inside the helmet shots. But when you get the long shots, they're just fighting. And the Thracian Spartacus was a Thracian style gladiator as well, coming from Thrace himself. We don't actually know, was Spartacus a Thracian style gladiator, or was he called the Thracian because he came from Thrace? Anyway, but he had the curved sword that the Thracians used, so they were quite spot on with their kit, if not the amazing ninja moves that they could all perform. But yeah.
Yeah, and Jamin D's talking about Liam McIntyre, who replaced Sandy Whitfield, had big shows to fill. But for me, I think he did a great job honoring the
It's
character.
the impossible
Also,
ask, wasn't it? It's the impossible ask, Jamin. How are you going to follow that? It was massive shoes to fill, and it's strange, isn't it? Because actually, McIntyre had 2 seasons, and Whitfield had one, but somehow you think of Spartacus, you think of this guy. I always think of him when I think of the shows. I never think of of Liam McIntyre. Is Gladiator movie dealing with the rise of Septimus? Probably he's African, wasn't he? So I imagine he'll be all over it. I mean, that'll give him a great thing to hang their hat on. So yeah.
well, to round this off, Tom Jr. Jackson says the pic on the screen looks like a promo for WrestleMania. You know something, Tom? I am thinking about wrestling, and it has nothing to do with WrestleMania when I see this picture, Tom. Um, now Picard coming up. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, just for a brief moment, and I'm going to play my promo, and we will be right back, guys. Alrighty, welcome back for the second half of Sunday brunch. Uh, and of course, we've been talking about entertainment as always. This is true. People want to know when Picard season 3 is starting. And I admit that on the Burn Network, we have been talking a lot about Picard season 3. It's feel like almost it's a flagship series for the network, considering everything. Bonzo Kilburn says it will render asunder the fandom. Yeah, it really is something that is to think about. And you take care, Dennis Mason. Neighbors, you take care, Dennis
Cheers,
Mason. Good to
Dan.
see
Thanks for
you.
popping in, mate.
Yes. And Jamie D talks about the Barbarian Queen movies. Ator the
A-
Barbarian Queen.
Ator the Barbarian. That was Miles O'Keefe, I believe. Or was that Ator fighting Eagle? And the Barbarian Queen. She was she the actress? Yeah, her name's gone out of my mind, but she was the one that was with Phil Spector. I think was the Barbarian Queen. And what was her name? Oh my god, um, I can't think. But yeah, there was an unfortunate accident with Phil Spector, and she ended up losing her life. But yeah, seen them all, loved them, absolutely loved them.
Yeah, that is a scary thought, for sure. And it's interesting to look and see what's coming up. Certainly, I have a feeling that this, as they continue the series for Spartacus, it's just going to keep continuing to grow in popularity. But
Yeah.
in regards to Star Trek Picard and this entire, situation here, I can't help but think about how many people, are saying that they are not ever going to watch it ever again. But I have a feeling that it's going to be or potentially be one of the most watched series in God knows how long, Russ. Are people going to go ahead and be watching Picard season 3?
Sorry, just before we carry on, thank you, Jamin and Tom. Yeah, Lana Clarkson, tragic, tragic, tragic. R.I.P. She was a brilliant actress and a big loss. Actually, she was lovely, and yeah, it was a real shame what happened to her. Um, yeah, are people going to watch Picard based on the evidence of what we know? Probably not. Um, I know Rob Meyer Burnett has been espousing its virtues, but and has been hating on everything Star Trek for the past. What does he call it? The Great Star Trek Hostage Crisis of 2009. It's still ongoing. Um, how popular was Picard in and of itself? Is the brand irreparably damaged now? How many people have switched off? Was Picard season 1 and 2 the Obi-Wan of Star Trek? Where you've just treated this legendary character so poorly that longtime fans are not going to tune back in for it. So I don't know. I don't know. I suspect not. and I don't suppose it'll matter in some. Well, it won't matter to this show, but it might matter to the rest of Star Trek, because the problem with this is, and it's kind of the same with Andor as well in some ways. If we don't watch and support the things that we like, then that's just telling the sort of corrupt overlords at Disney or whoever owns Star Trek, Paramount or whatever, that this is not what we want, and therefore they're just going to serve up more of the same that they have been serving up, and continuing to throw dung at the wall in the hope that some of it sticks, which is a real shame. But hey, let's hope it's successful. I know, like I'm not huge Star Trek fans. I hope it's good. I didn't mind the first J.J. Abrams movie. I thought that was all right, actually. I didn't hate it, but I don't know, I don't have as much skin in the game as say a Rob Burnett or a hardcore Star Trek fan. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I, for me, I have to watch a show regardless as to whether or not, I have to watch the show and make my own determination. And I do understand
No,
that
no, sorry. Do
everyone.
you think lots of people are going to watch it, or do you think um, it's gonna fall by the wayside?
Well, yeah, I am gonna comment on that. Um, I think a lot of people are going to watch it, and I think that there's nothing that can be done about what they released in the past. In regards to Star Trek, nothing can be done about those years of or episodes that you don't like or movies that you don't like from that. Pretty much is they're just there. And it's, sometimes you like stuff and sometimes you don't, but um there's no guarantee that people are going to like Picard season 3. There's no guarantee of that. No one can give anybody a guarantee that they're going to like something. The only way to know whether you like something is to watch it, and I think people are going to be curious now because honestly, um, it can't be any worse than what we've gotten before. I don't
Well, I
think
remember when season two was coming
so.
out, even here in England, I had to go to London for work for a week or so, and I remember going up the escalators at Waterloo, and the whole of Waterloo station was Picard themed, and it had Seven of Nine. She was everywhere. Is it Jerry Ryan? Is that her
Yes.
name?
Mhm.
Yeah, she was everywhere. Huge, pictures of her, and it was all over the place. But I don't know how. I don't know how successful a show it was.
Yeah, it's something to think about, and we'll see what happens with the ratings. We'll see what will happen with reviews, but I'm more curious as to what individuals think at this point because I don't know I don't know anybody personally who liked Picard seasons 1 and 2. I don't know a single individual in all the people that I know who have watched the show, who have reviewed it. I don't know anybody who's given it a thumbs up. So that does kind of make me concerned in regards to the quality of the show. I've watched the first 2 seasons and I didn't care for them. So I think it does say something. Meanwhile, I would say I liked Strange New Worlds, even though the show didn't really have very much substance to it. That was the problem, for that show for me. Anson Mount is wonderful to watch on TV.
Easy
So
on the eye.
they even gave me the
Strange New
bedroom
World's the
scene.
Baywatch of Star Trek. Is that essentially
Yes,
what we're saying? It's essentially the Baywatch, and we're not watching this for the story. All right, let's just get it out there, because the same thing's going to happen every week, but we're watching it for Anson.
pretty much. And my criticism of that show is, the writing was okay and it wasn't strange enough. Like it should have been something unusual and strange, and it didn't feel strange to me. And also, they did give us the bedroom scene. They gave us Anson Mount in bed under sheets with no clothes on, presumably. So they gave us what we wanted. But if it was going to be that kind of a show, then stick to that type of a trope and give us those fun, sexy scenes where he is kind of having fun with everybody. But it's got to be in every episode. It can't be like, well, we're going to throw you a bone for one episode where he's nude. And I'm like, no, that's not good enough. If you're going to go down that road, it has to be raunchy. Let it go ahead and be raunchy, but also where they encounter strange stuff because you're calling it Strange New Worlds. It can't be just ordinary Star Trek. It has to be strange. That's how I view it. Go ahead and make it strange and crazy and let it be that Strange New World with sex in it. So,
I just think, our that we have a massive problem with that shit today. and this is actually going back to Spartacus in a way. Things have gotten a little bit more conservative in, which I know sounds ridiculous because everything's like completely woke, which is the and antithesis of conservative. But I mean, in terms of what they can do within the scope of a story, like there has to be quotients of this and quotients of that and quotients of the other. We can't show boobs and we can't show bottoms, and we're gonna CGI. Those things they're gonna CGI Daryl Hannah's bum from Splash, aren't they? And all this kind of stuff. It's almost like your hands are kind of tied as a writer these days. If you want to go out there and do something outrageous, you're probably not going to be allowed. So I agree. I think if Strange New World was essentially Captain Pike taking on the persona of Captain Kirk and shagging his way through the entire Enterprise, that would be awesome. And it would be all about him and the trouble he gets himself into with all the girls on the ship. Fine, let's do that. Let's do that show, and we're going to fight some aliens at the same time. But I just don't think they'd be allowed, and that worries me. That worries me for Spartacus. Like it really does, because that stuff was so. But anyway, we stopped talking about Spartacus, although I'm obsessed with it at the moment. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, Picard season 3.
Yeah, Jamin T says, I give the show 1 or 2 episodes if anyone is interested and see where it goes. If it still interests you, then you keep watching it till it doesn't. Good advice, Jamin D. I
Yeah,
think
watch
that
content, form opinion, Jamie. I think that's absolutely right. I mean, we had this conversation on this channel a couple of times, didn't we? We were talking about Rings of Power and She-Hulk and Willow. And I started watching all of those and just didn't bother continue. And Willow wasn't grossly offensive to me, but the other two really were. And I said, I don't want to talk about these anymore. Nobody else wants to hear us talk about those shows because they were talked about to death by everybody else. So yeah, watch it. If you like it, brilliant.
And Mighty Orbit says basically all of Discovery. Yeah, although there are some people who like Discovery. They just like who's in it, honestly. I think that I like Sonequa Martin Green. I just don't like any of the episodes because they're not written nicely. They could have showcased her a little differently and not made her appear to be the way that this character is. I don't think they put that character in with her best foot forward. And most of Star Trek is the characters are put with their best foot forward. If you don't put your best foot forward, it's because you're a villain on the show, not a leader. So they went off of the norm there. So it's odd. Um, Bonzo Kilborn says, I'm only coming back to Picard because of Rob. It's been so bad that I completely walked away. We'll see what happens. I understand what you're saying. Just be careful when you go on someone else's recommendation. That doesn't mean that you're going to like the show. So be careful with that. And if you like it, great. If you don't, fine. But it should be something that is based on how you feel, as Jamin D has mentioned. If it interests you, you keep watching it until it doesn't, guys.
That was my point. That's what I was trying to say earlier on. So Bonzo's like his own straw poll of one, right? Like he probably liked Star Trek before, and you've just seen it, used as like toilet paper by these people, and they've wiped their asses on your favorite characters, and chucked them on down the toilet and flushed it away. And you're thinking, why the fuck am I going to come back for a third season of this? But someone like Rob, who passionately dislikes what's been done, if he's bigging it up, if I was Bonzo and I was really into Star Trek, I'm thinking, all right, well, maybe I'll give it a chance. Maybe I'll give it a chance. And if it's great, then you've won. Like The Last of Us, which I watched before this show, and clearly we're not going to talk about, but it was good.
Yes. No, I don't. I guess we're running out of time. Jamin D says for others, there are so many other things all across the world we can watch also. And hi, Mighty Orbots. Good to see you, Mighty Orbots. Yes, Jerry Ryan is hot. She's always looked good. They threw her in that cat
Insanely
suit.
hot.
Yeah, they threw her in that cat suit. They could have at least given her something better than the cat suit. But they did the same thing to the other chick who played the Vulcan in Enterprise. They did that to her too. And I
What was
felt they
her
could have
name?
I can't remember her name, but
She was beautiful, though. Oh my
it's on the
God.
tip of my tongue, but I can't, I know who this
Yeah.
woman is. Um, maybe someone knows, but they did the same thing to her too. And I'm like, give her, I said, you can have a skin tight outfit if you want to, but don't just make it plain ordinary. Like, give it some zhuzh or pizzazz or something. some little conveniently placed V mark somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah,
Something like that.
sorry, just to jump ahead. Bonzo came to the rescue. Jolene Blaylock.
Yes, Jolene Blaylock, who they also threw in a cat suit. Give them a uniform for heaven's sake. And if it has to be skin tight, make it skin tight. But I'm like, give them some style. Don't just throw them the here's your outfit. And then you're like, okay. But yeah, it I love Jerry Ryan's character. She played Seven of Nine so well in it as well. I gotta give her credit for that too. And I'm glad she's back. Um I'm so glad she's back. Um, yeah, it's interesting to see these these responses. So Art and What's Strange New World would be Lex LOL.
Yeah, why not? That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. If it was like Lex. But yeah,
Mhm.
was that the 90s or the noughties? I can't remember. But we don't get many shows like that anymore. And Vicman de Santiago arrives. Hola,
Hi.
everyone. Hello, Vicman.
Nathan, you make a good point here about how the Willow show would have been fun if there was more Willow in it. And sometimes, they write these shows and then the main character you're thinking is going to be in it isn't in it. So, you know, that happens too, unfortunately. Something to think about. Yeah, Tom Jr. Jackson, you're right about Jerry Ryan's character, Seven of Nine, knowing about Picard as a Borg, and she understands that. She doesn't seem like she'd ever been a Borg to me, except she has like like an implant. But as far as I'm concerned, she's not, but she feels like she's a normal human now. I didn't know they could even have Borg children, which is kind of sad. Okay. Um, Retro Nerd Girl says Star Trek is cool, but it's not for me anymore. Okay, fair enough.
So
Yeah.
you see what I mean? So there's now two people in the chat. One of whom's being convinced to go back by Rob, and someone else who's also walked away from it. And this is my fear for it, in the same way as Andor and Star Wars. People are just, they don't care how good it is. It's like, no, I'm not interested. They may not even have heard about it.
Yeah, and
That's the thing, you know. And if they have, it's like, well, no, I saw the first two seasons. It was shit. I'm not bothered about that, you know. And there's not many people out there that are like, if you're retro nerd girl, right, and you weren't on the internet, you know, you weren't into live streams or whatever it is, and you're not following this stuff, and you watched the first season, you thought, oh, this is shit. I'll give maybe it'll get better. And you've got to the second season of Discovery or Picard or whatever it is, and you've heard there's a third season coming out. If you've checked out and you're not, if you're part of the general audience that's followed Star Trek and not like a huge nerd about it, how are you going to know it's different? How are you going to know it's a new creative team? How are you going to know this is Picard Requiem or Next Generation Requiem, whatever Rob calls it? How are you going to know that? You ain't. You're just not going to watch it. And the same with Andor. Like, you watched Obi-Wan and watched what they did with that, and then you've got some irrelevant show about an irrelevant character who you know dies. Who cares? I don't.
yeah, that's true. And we also have Darth Plato mentioning don't treat IPs and classic characters with sans culotte gloves. Um, uh, Stubble says that he rewatched DS9. It's only a paper moon, and he says we should all have Vic Fontaine in our lives. It was great. Certainly enjoyed so many DS9 episodes. And thank you so much for this, Bonzo Kilborn, who says Marina Sirtis got a proper uniform towards the last couple of seasons of Next Gen. I thought she looked better in it. Yes, it was still tight. Thank God for that, guys. And now I know, I mean, you did watch the last episode of The Last of Us, Russ,
I did, yeah.
and you give it a thumbs up.
Absolutely. You know, it's one of those episodes again where nothing happens for most of it, and then something happens at the end of it, and we're going to go into the next part of the story. But I am invested in these characters, and now they're starting to warm to each other, and it's all of this sort of character interplay and dialogue. It's two-hander, and you know, it's kind of like a game in that they left the two guys' house with loads of equipment and guns and, you know, everything that they needed. So now it's sort of a question of how are they gonna make them bereft of all of this stuff? Because obviously they're doing really well. So it's yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Yeah, thumbs up. What can I tell you? You've seen it, right?
Oh yes, I did a watch party of it on Friday night when the episode premiered.
Hmm.
Um, Wait a minute. Have you seen episode 5?
No,
Oh, it premiered Friday.
I only watched episode 4.
Okay. Well, it's available. I don't know if it's available where you are. I'm not going to talk about it, but it was good. It was a
Hmm.
good episode. So please continue to watch it. There's only about 4 episodes left, Russ. Gosh, I wonder what they're going to do with these 4 episodes. And I'm almost at a point where I'm thinking it seems kind of unfair to wrap up, the entire first game in one season of The Last of Us. At least that's how I'm feeling about it. But it's okay. I've gotten over that notion, and I don't feel like I have to hold on to that. But I wondered how they were gonna do that, truth be told, because it felt as if there should have been more episodes focusing on the hardcore gameplay, or at least some of the harder parts, some of the dangerous parts. I think that episode 4 is going back to form, but you can watch episode 5 now. I believe it's available. They released it early because of the Super Bowl today, so there's no um released tonight here, at least in the US. It should be on HBO Max if you want to watch it. But I'm curious as to what you think about episode 5, Russ.
Well, I have to watch it via other means because we don't get that in the UK, which I'm a bit anti. Really, I like to pay for my entertainment, which I know sounds really really weird, but I'm a signed up member of the Scott Adkins fan club. I believe we should pay for it, but this is one that I don't pay for because I can't get it. So
All right, and the hidden says he always thought the 7 of 9 character would go off in the sunset with David Beltran. Is that Chakotay character, since they were romantically involved at the end of Voyager? I think it's Chakotay is the guy's name. Yeah, let's see what happens with that. Let's see if it ever worked out. And it is very interesting to see that. I don't know whether they're in the same time zone or time period or whatever it is at this point.
sorry, Aram. I was just looking at the chats while we were talking about this, and this now has gone from the Spartacus Appreciation Show to the Jerry Ryan Appreciation Show. The Mighty Orbit says we have a husband to thank because Jerry Ryan just dismissed the role as another sex pot part, and he said to do it anyway. And then we've got Jamin straight away. If you guys haven't seen Dark Skies of the Nighty Alien Investigation Show, Jerry Ryan's in sexy as it's great. Yeah, we all love Jerry Ryan. Jerry Ryan, was it based on real life events? X Files show. Must watch. Jerry Ryan is sexy as hell and great in it. Yes, she was, and yes, it was. It was brilliant.
Yeah, she's wonderful, and I'm pretty sure the reason why they brought her back because she is a fan favorite.
Hmm.
And she's wonderful in the series. Even in the first 2 seasons of Picard, I think she was in I think she was in season 2 of Picard, where it was a little odd. She still looked good in it. I didn't care. I just liked seeing Jerry Ryan. It felt good to see her again, and I'm a big fan of hers as well. So there is that. Yeah, so now I'm not going to say anything about The Last of Us part 5, Russ, but
Hmm.
what else did you want to discuss this week here
I
on
don't know, man.
Sunday?
Is Mario still here? Because it's sad news. It's sad news, but the end has come. Um, sorry, do you want to get this one first?
Yeah, she's 50 and still smoking hot, guys. Ryan deserves all the appreciation. Agreed, guys.
Absolutely. There's a place for women of that age in Hollywood, and I'm sick of pretending that there isn't. To quote the Joker meme, um, it's a project that I'm working on. I actually just got a WhatsApp from a producer, and I've been pushing this project hard, which is to do with older females in Hollywood, and I just think it would be awesome if I could get this one made. I would really, really want to do that.
Absolutely.
William Shatner kissed Jerry Ryan on Boston Legal. Lucky bastard. Mind you, he kissed Nichelle Nichols as well. So there you go. Fuck you,
Yeah,
William Shatner. I hate you.
he's kissed a lot of leading ladies, and it's been fun to watch him do it too. Um, so
Oh
there
yeah.
is.
So what was I saying? Yeah, the end is official. I don't know if Mario's still here, but we got confirmation this week from Mr. Gunn over at DC Studios that the Snyderverse is dead and it is not coming back, and there will be no resurrection, be it animated or anything else, anywhere else. And that Zack Snyder himself, although Zack hasn't come out and said this, but basically has moved on, and he has voiced his support for what James Gunn is doing, and is more than happy at Netflix doing his two universes, Land of the zombie one, which has gone completely out of my head, and Rebel Moon. Um,
It's
so
not Dark Summer or something like that.
no,
He's
it's just got it's gone out of my mind. Now we've got Rebel Moon, which is the sort of Zack Snyder's Star Wars, which I can't wait for, and the zombie movie. I've got Land of the Dead in my head because I was thinking about Romero's
maybe somebody in
thing.
the chat will tell us.
Someone will know. Anyway, but the point being that where it where it basically came from was on Valentine's Day there was supposed to be another hashtag campaign from the Snyder Bros.
Oh
I prefer
yes.
I prefer Zachalites, which was Army of the Dead. Thanks,
Thank
Retro.
you, Retro Nerd Girl.
Um, yeah. That we were going to do another hashtag campaign around, sell the Snyderverse to Netflix, and James Gunn just came out and cut it off at the leg, saying this is the craziest one I've ever hashtag thing I've ever seen. There's been no interest from Netflix about this. We've never spoken to Netflix about this. We've spoken to them about other projects, but this is just not on the radar. And I've spoken to Zach and blah blah blah, and he's happy doing what he's doing, and then what somebody asked Gunn, what did you and Zack Snyder talk about? And he said, yeah, he's happy building his universes, and he expressed his support for our projects and blah blah blah. I don't think there is anybody. Oh, is it still happening? I can't believe it. I was going to say, because like most people are going, okay, look, they can't say it any more emphatically than that, can they? But if the campaign is still happening, what I can imagine from some of the Snyder groups that I'm on, what they'll be saying on those groups is, and I haven't, because I haven't been online much lately, but what I imagine they're saying is, yeah, well, obviously they don't know about it, but if we show them that there's a demand for it, and we know that DC are talking to them about projects, therefore we have to push even harder now to get this done. And the one thing about the Zachalites is, if they've got their teeth in it, it's not going to end. This is not going to end. All right, this will go on and on and on and on until Zack Snyder comes out and says he's not doing it, or he's not interested, or James Gunn emphatically comes out and says there will be no more Snyderverse. That is the end of it. It's not happening, because they haven't said that. And that's what the Zachalites are clinging on to. They're saying no. Well, they haven't said it, and if Netflix doesn't, why do we want Swamp Thing over at Netflix? We don't want Swamp Thing. We want Snyderverse over at Netflix, and they will keep on and on. As I said, um, when they dropped Cavill, this isn't going to end well. This will carry on for 2 years. Whether I hope the next Superman movie is brilliant. And I'm not a hater. I'm not getting on them about recasting it. I'm devastated, but I know what they're doing. But there are people out there on the internet they're not going to let it lie. They're not going to let it lie, and they will be on this train and at the heels of DC like that until the new Superman movie drops. And if that Superman movie isn't the greatest Superman movie in the history of Superman movies, with the perfect cast and the perfect score and the perfect outfit and the perfect everything, they're going to swarm all over it. I promise you. And that's just how they are.
It's too bad that it does feel kind of have that shadow over it, and I kind of wish it was free of that shadow, and I think that there would have been solutions to remove that from it. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about it, but I do want to thank Stubble McShave for the $20 super chat. Um, thank you so much, Stubble. It says, have a great Sunday and get yourself a cup of coffee. Thank you, Stubble. I
That
need
is really nice of you, Stubble.
it really is. I need some
Support our She needs super chat. She needs all the help. She's not
Oh,
doing this
thank
for
you.
free, guys.
Guys, do please press that like button. I so appreciate the support. Stubble had mentioned something about how he's never laughed as much as he did in the episode of the second season, the 11th episode of the second season of Vox Machina, The Legends of Vox Machina. It's a great show. You should watch it. It's in season 2. I am going to watch it, Stubble. I certainly am. And guys, I'm going to be reviewing The Wheel of Time season 2 with Stubble. We're going to do a season 1 recap. Um, of the Wheel of Time, and then we're going to be reviewing season 2 together. So that's coming up. And Stubble, thank you so much for your generosity. I really could use like I don't know, like one of those coffees with a double shot in it or something. Um, right now, certainly. And Jamin D said something very interesting. Um, he said, "That's why I love this channel. We can stick to topic or go in crazy directions about things we love rather than talk about things we hate or don't like. That's awesome. LOL." Thank you, Jamin D. That's
It's the name of
certainly
the channel, dude. Positive fandom. When we first started talking about this is one of the things that our room came up with was like, everyone's like hating on stuff. You can go to many channels and listen to how terrible everything is. And we thought, well, maybe we should talk about things that we love. And Snyderverse, I love. So retro nerd girl, right? She says here, Zach has liked 6 posts on Vero with that hashtag. See, this is it, and this will keep the cult alive, right? If he didn't do that, and you remember before he was posting all cryptic stuff with the thing in the snow with the 7 chairs around it, and then he was doing his Thanksgiving dinner with the Final Crisis book in the back, all this kind of stuff. People, saddos like me, are looking at that and analyze. Well, he never released a post unless it's cryptic. We have to like Batman levels of detection, trying to go on to find out what Zack Snyder's thinking. Him liking that, I didn't know that because I'm not on Vero. I'm not a big social media retro, but oh god. Well, that's it then. Yeah, hashtag. Okay, I better boot up my Twitter then. Was it 2 o'clock GMT? I think it is. Right, that's it. I'll be there.
well, I have another super chat from Norwegian Kryptonian for a 109 Norwegian dollars. Thank you so much, Norwegian Kryptonian, as well.
Get
Thank you
those
guys for
kronas in. Thank you, Norwegian Kryptonian. That's really kind of you.
so
Our room
generous.
needs your help.
Yes, thank you. It's so generous of you to do this. I so appreciate it. Certainly very generous, both you and Stubble, for the super chats here. I so appreciate it. It does help me to continue with the channel and continue, of course, Sunday brunch and doing shows like this where we do get to talk about things we love. Yes, I'm sorry, Stubble. I know it's not dollars. I can't remember the denomination, so I apologize
It's
for
krona,
that.
I think.
Yes,
Swedish.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And Nathan says, those Russian Snyder bots keep giving misinformation. Just kidding.
Yeah, I don't know that people keep saying that they're bots that are behind this, but I just don't think it is. I just think there's like a hardcore bunch of idiots out there that just think this is the greatest thing ever, and they just want what they were promised. And no matter what Warner Brothers do, they just keep poking the bear.
Yeah, I think that they've had a few missteps here and they're making it harder on themselves than they have to. A lot of times that happens where you'll have a company and they kind of take the tough way of getting something accomplished, and I think that that might be what's happening here. Obviously they know that fans want something else and feel like they want something else. But this is the journey that the path that they've chosen to take. And sometimes you can give people different suggestions, but it doesn't mean that they're going to take any of these. Bonzo Kilborn says Russ's next IP, Rise of the Bloody Sacralites.
Vengeance of the Zakalite. The sequel. Yeah, I can see it now. Zakalite assassin. The whole thing is is opening up in front of me. Nice one, Bonzo. I'll cut you in for percentage.
I love it, Bonzo. Um, and so Jamin D says, I say if they find fun or solace in doing hashtags, let them. As long as it's harmless, I don't see any issue personally anyone doing whatever hashtags. LOL, fans are fans, extreme or otherwise. Yeah. Um, the Hidden says, should Superman be portrayed in interstellar space battles or some typical romantic drama between Lois, Lana, and a new girl?
Well,
Huh.
this is sort of Superman year 1 or 2, isn't it? That they're trying to do here, Superman Birthright or something like that. So I imagine it will be very much Earth based. That's my guess with it.
We can only pray. Dark Plato says, I hope Paradise Lost is going to be done like Spartacus.
Oh yeah, that'd be great, wouldn't it? Yeah, I could handle. I'd be there. I'd be there for that. I will
Oh
be
my
there for that.
gosh.
I'm gonna be
Oh
there for it
yeah.
anyway. I'm gonna be there
Oh
for it anyway.
gosh, that would be fantastic.
I certainly
Um,
would.
and Nathan says, "What is Vero?"
So it's a social media platform like sort of like Facebook, but Zack Snyder isn't on Facebook, I don't think. So he uses Vero.
Gary Bando Sandwich says that he's enjoying Lockwood and Co. series from Joe Cornish, who brought us Attack the Block film. Interesting.
Was that about grave? Is that the one about the grave robbers, Gary?
Yeah, please let us know, Gary. And thank you so much, Norwegian Kryptonian. It's very generous. Thank you for that. It's so appreciated. Anything that you give is greatly appreciated. And thank you for the support, Norwegian Kryptonian. I hope you're having a good day, Norwegian Kryptonian. I hope your day is going wonderfully today. And Retro Nurgle says, sign me up.
What are we signing you up? What are we signing you up for? We seem to have signed her up for Spartacus and God knows what else today.
Yes, I think it's the Paradise Lost series being done like Spartacus.
Oh
I
yes,
have a
yeah,
feeling
yeah.
that's
There'll
what
be
it is.
no
And
guys in
Gary,
that one. It'll just be nudie Amazons. My goodness, it'll be like a Roger Corman film. I can't wait.
why not? Why not? Gosh, oh my gosh. You
Well,
can
it's
never
on
get enough
HBO, the home of Rude, so you never know.
yeah, you can never all of it. Thank you. You could never get enough nudity in adult shows, I think. And a lot of times it can just even just be generally placed where it's not necessarily meant in a sexual way. I think it's fine to kind of see certain things. And I am noticing, although it's not as much, and no, I have not seen Your Honor with Bryan Cranston. Is it the movie or is it a play? Is it is it a movie or play or something like that? Norwegian Kryptonian. Um, yes, absolutely. Yes, Gary Bando Sandwich, absolutely more nude. And I'm not that particular in who is nude or who isn't nude, just as long as we see some real life stuff going on because it's an unrealistic interpretation. It's a TV series. Thank you. Thank you, Norwegian Kryptonian. I'm gonna try and check it out. Norwegian Kryptonian is talking about um, Your Honor with Bryan Cranston there. And it is interesting to see Bryan Cranston play these other roles. He's done some Broadway runs as well that have been very successful. The man is a very dynamic actor. Oh, it's on Showtime. Thank you. Thank you, Nathan. Yeah, we got to check it out. But yeah, I think it's very interesting, like we're going to start to talk about nudity. We have been talking about nudity a lot on the show today. But it's just a natural thing. And I've noticed that in some of these, not all, but in some of these toxic male, definitely Jamin D. In
I'm
some of
not
these,
going to lie, Jamin. I'm not going to lie. I'm there for it. I'm in complete agreement. I'm sorry if that's offensive, but I wholeheartedly agree with that sentiment.
I agree too. And I think it's perfectly natural. To me, of course, being a woman, I love to see breasts as well. And it doesn't make a difference to me. I don't have the same reaction that I think a lot of men have who want to
What?
do other things to express.
That's kind
But
of
I still do like to see them because it's natural. It's kind of like it's the beauty of the body is good to see in shows as well. Um Brown chicken brown cow. Okay.
yeah.
Um, I did want to say that I've been noticing that in a lot of these toxic male shows, and when I say toxic male, as you know, I love toxic male shows with masculine heroes doing masculine things, where you can smell the testosterone in the air. Um, they're showing in a lot of scenes, it'll be something like Jack Ryan, but then in one scene he won't have a shirt on, and I'm like, there's no reason to show this. There's no purpose to show this other than for us to see his body. Like there's
Mm,
no reason. It's like why are they showing this? Because we need to see that physique. There's certain things we need to see in these shows. And I think it's important for us to see those things in the shows, in a realistic manner. And we are, like that's a reality. Like you're lucky because as a man, you can walk without your shirt on if you want to. And, it's kind of, acceptable. No one's going to be like, well, why are you walking around without a shirt on? And I think for women, although it's legal to do it, you don't see as much of it. But I
Okay,
do like
I'm gonna
to
hold something down right here, right now, because that is a brilliant segue into something I've been promising myself that I'm going to do, and I have consistently failed in it because reasons, because car, because this, because that, because the other. So I have a goal for 2023, and my goal for 2023 is to get down to between 15 and 20% body fat. So I think I'm probably about 30% at the moment. So I probably need to drop about 10%. I think 15 is unattainable, but 20% might well be possible. And if I achieve that, I will do a Sunday brunch topless if I get down to my goal weight.
Oh my god.
So we've got a year. We've got a year. We've got 10 months for me to do this. And now I've said it, I'm going to do it.
I'm gonna match your challenge,
Okay.
but I'm not
We
gonna
might
do it topless.
we might not we might have to do it after brunch time because if you're going to do it topless, Aram, then yeah, I think is that even allowed on YouTube? I don't even know.
Nudity?
Yeah.
You mean would
Matt,
the channel be
sh
pulled down? You
yeah.
mean? I don't know. I don't know. I've never thought about it. Um Well, you know something? We're talking about wellness. We're still in the beginning of the year, and we're talking about being the best version of ourselves we can be. And that's what this is about. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with what you said, Russ. I'm very excited to see you embark on this challenge, this journey towards wellness, towards reducing body fat. And I'm going to match your challenge. I'm going to try and do the same and reduce the amount of body fat. You'll never know how much I weigh, but it doesn't matter because I never tell anybody my weight ever. But yeah, I'm going to meet your challenge for reducing body fat, and you'll just have to trust me as I tell you that what it is.
Okay, I trust you. I don't know how much I weigh either. I'm not going to bother about weighing myself, but I'll know. I'll know.
The Hidden said I was thinking about DC's Alien Maxima and her love of Superman Clark Kent at for Darth Plato. Do you think it would be interesting for a live action movie push the envelope between Maxima? Wow, that's a very comic driven question, and I don't know. But yeah, it would be great to get
Was
some.
it a love though? It wasn't. She wanted to sort of breed with him, didn't she? I don't know if they fell in love later. Certainly, oh, she did. She wanted to get
Breathe.
Krypton. Yeah, because she needed a worthy husband to rule Almerac, and she couldn't get it into her head that she was like some sort of super goddess, which she is. And she's like, why are you with these weak, pathetic people? Come and have alien sex with me, and we can rule over
It
rule the
makes total
galaxy
sense.
together. Um, would they go there? Oh, that was the hidden, wasn't it? Yeah, would they go there? Doubt it. Maxima's a bit C-list, isn't she? But I'd love that. I mean, again, it sort of lends itself to a TV show. If they did a TV show of Superman that wasn't like um, Lois and Clark and Lois, can't remember, Lois and Clark, Superman, then yeah, maybe I'd love to see all that stuff. But I think when you're doing Superman, especially these guys now having to do this movie, which I maintain has to be 100% on every level, or they're going to get slaughtered. They're going to have to stick to core Superman values. And if they did something like Maxima or have them go off with Wonder Woman, which I think they should do, I've always thought Wonder Woman made more sense than Lois, but they won't. So I doubt it.
Oh my gosh, I just got another $5 super chat from Happy Sanjo for $5. Thank you so much, Happy Sanjo, and welcome to the channel. It says happy Sunday. I'm trying to heal a fatty liver. I lost 10 pounds since the start of the year and I've made huge
Congratulations.
diet changes. Yes, yes, happy Sanjo. You are an inspiration here on the channel. Certainly, we encourage you and support your endeavor in making these changes, guys. We all, many of us out here want to make dietary changes, and you've done it. Happy Sanjo. It's an inspiration. Congratulations. Thank you for being an inspiration to us here on the channel. For Russ and I, we have this challenge, this reduce body fat challenge coming up. Um, it's going to be interesting, Russ, sharing these things about how we're going to be doing this. Maybe we'll talk about it here a little bit on Sunday brunch every week. about our progress and what we've been doing diet wise and exercise wise, might be very interesting to uh, go down that road. Jamin D says, if these next networks care so much about equality, they need to start making shows for guys as well as girls. I say, who is behind me on this one? I am
I
too.
am behind you, dude.
And Russ, you are getting praise as well. Um, yes, Russ. Wow. Woohoo! Russ, go, Russ.
Well, I can't fail now, can I? Pressure's on.
And what does this say? Um, okay, about Twin Peaks and the Daily Rule. Thank you so much, Tom Jr. Jackson. Nathan talks about ab exercises. He does a lot of those along with the chest, and that abs are made in the kitchen. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
Um,
you can't outrun a donut, essentially.
Jamin D says, Russ, I love you, man, but I will skip your nude stream. What? And come back when it's our. Oh!
I didn't say nude, dude. I just said topless. What the fuck?
Yeah. You know what? We were just talking about sexy people in their
At my age,
50s.
yes, at my age. I'm
We
only
were just
52.
talking about Mighty Orbots. We're bringing sexy back to older people. How about that? And of course, Magic Mike, Tom Jr. Jackson. I couldn't have said it any better about Magic Mike.
Rampant Russ, perhaps.
And certainly, Magic Mike actually did pretty well in the box office this week. And who doesn't want to watch Selma Hayek, get danced and caressed and seduced by this young man? I can't remember his name now, but it certainly is intriguing to watch. Thank you for doing that, whoever decided to cast Selma Hayek
Mm.
in that, because she goes, I want you to show me what you can do. And it's like, it's on, it's on. You know what I mean? Like, thank you for doing that. It's just really wonderful to see, just having fun with all of that stuff with that. So that's great. Magic Mike's Last Dance, I believe, is out in theaters. So I certainly will be checking it out. Gary Bandit Sandwich says adult shows are great, but PG shows need to grow a pair. And if they have multiple seasons where the cast grows from kids to teens to adults and try to keep us thinking they are kids does not work. Yeah, it is kind of an insult when they throw in, it's like, oh, you're still 16. No, no, you're not. You're 27. So, gee, we are nearing the end of the show, Russ. Is there any last words you would like to say? And I do also want to thank, um, of course, Norwegian Kryptonian for the generous super chat, as well as Stubble McShape and Happy Sanjo for so being so generous to the channel. Russ, any final thoughts before we wrap up the show?
No, I think we pretty much covered everything that I wanted to. Bozzy for this fandom. Yeah. No, that's kind of the opposite though, Gal, isn't it? We're going the other way. We're going for the fat loss. No, I think we pretty much covered everything. I was really keen to talk about Spartacus. Actually, I'm absolutely thrilled that Spartacus has come back, and in some ways, like I said, yeah, Russ, blood and sand, Russ, slim fast, and protein shakes or whatever. I don't know. Um, yeah, I likened it to Strike Back, right? And I hope it doesn't go the way of when they brought back Strike Back, because when they brought back Strike Back, it was no good because they didn't do what was successful about Strike Back. They just tried to, make it for a modern audience, and it just completely fell flat. So I hope they have learned from this. And Stars is a bit cheap, isn't it? Stars might not have the same pressures on it as an HBO or a Disney Plus or whatever. So hopefully they can cut loose. Only to say that Cricket World Cup final is on. I know it's all about the Super Bowl, but the Women's Cricket World 2020 World Cup has started. England won their first game. That is good. And yeah, I'm going to take a break, and then I think we've got another stream. Is that correct?
Well, it's a recording, but yes, we do, Russ. We certainly do. Um, Happy Sanjo says, Gary, I've cut out carbs almost completely, eating good fats and high vegetable diet. I've cut out all sugar I'm drinking and walking an hour a day. Wow. Wow. You're getting serious. He also recommends lots of phosphorus vegetables like cauliflower and broccoli. Yeah, that is excellent to recommend to us. Certainly, healthier eating is something that we want to do so we can look sexier when we're nude, right? Um, Happy Sanjo says, I was watching cricket the other
Good for
day.
you. It's awesome. I love it.
And Stavros, hi Stavros. I hope
Hey,
you're
Stavros.
well today. Cocktail, and yes,
Oh, you missed the show today, Stavros.
yeah,
You should catch the rerun, mate. We had a laugh.
absolutely, Stavros. Uh, I just want to thank everybody for watching today and tuning in. And guys, you can find Russ at Russ Whitfield .com, and also check out his books, the Gladiatrix series. Guys, you can find me here on Positive Fandom, where we do all the parlay in the fandom on Sunday here on our show, which I'm wrapping up just now. But you can also find me doing live watch parties for The Last of Us until the series ends. I'm also going to be streaming Hogwarts Legacy live, guys, today as well. We're also going to be doing more on the channel going forward with reviews, but you can also find me on the Burn Network. As you guys know, I'm officially part of the Burn Network now. And, you can find me on there for my Ladies of the PGS show, as well as the PGS Moving Image show, PGS Treks this week, also my reviews that I do with Darth Plato on Horatio Hornblower and other historical figures. So there is that. And you can sometimes find me on the 1/6 Scale Man Network on Uncivilized Scoundrels. So, I've got a lot of things going on, but it's always a pleasure to see you all. Certainly enjoy speaking and having this wonderful interaction with you all. Russ, thank you for being here again as always. Um,
I had a
and
right
thank
laugh today. It was brilliant. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was great. Thank you for the super chats, everybody. And thank you, Tom Jr. Jackson. We are all good people. Check out Tom Jr. Jackson's channel as well. And no matter where you guys are, no matter where you are in the galaxy, if you are in a spaceship right now and you are traveling in the galaxy, always do remember to please be kind, guys. Take care, everybody.
Cheers, guys. Thanks
Bye.
so much.